Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media with myself, Salailo Makwideri, and we are going to be having very special guest with us in a bit. I'll be speaking to the founder of the Minara Chamber of Commerce in South Africa. We'll be navigating through the complexities of our economic landscape, and we'll be discussing crucial topics such as economic growth, the role of business and governance, and the business community's reaction to President Cyril Ramaphosa's recent cabinet appointment. So you have to stay tuned as we dive into the pressing issues and gain insights from one of the leading voices in our business community. Mr. Ebrahim Patel is joining us via StreamYard Audio. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Patel. Jazakallah so much for giving us your time.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and shukran for giving me the opportunity to be with you at this momentous occasion.
I mean, for the longest time, I think about 2-3 weeks after the elections, South Africa waited with bated breaths for the appointment of the seventh administration and cabinet. We saw yesterday President Cyril Ramaphosa making that announcement. And from your perspective, from business point of view, what do you make of the seventh administration and its appointees?
Well, let me start off by saying that it was about time. From a business perspective, it brings a great deal of stability to the country, and that brings confidence to business because now we know who the government would be, who the administration would be, and there's no longer speculation on who the ministers and policymakers would be. So, in that sense, it brings a great deal of stability and confidence back to the country, and we've seen the markets react positively. Yes, there was some negative sentiment in the market this morning because of the anticipation that the DA would be holding more significant portfolios, but I think that was expected. So from a stability and confidence point of view, I think that the announcement was overdue, and we welcome the announcement.
And with the announcement, we're seeing, the return of the likes of small business and development minister Stella Ndabeni making her way back and retaining that position. Just from her legacy, in the sixth administration, what can we make of her? Did she make the right noises? Did she make impactful change in the department for South African small businesses to thrive? She's going to be the minister for another 5 years. What do you make of her?
Well, let's deal with the question that you had posed earlier about the cabinet itself, and I think that we must commend the government on having a very balanced and approach to the government of national unity. Obviously, there was a great deal of negotiation that has taken place. There were a number of portfolios that were controversial portfolios, but overall, I think that there was a balanced cabinet that has come out, and it's probably the best cabinet under the circumstances. So, it quells the speculations of the Deputy President, of the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Economic Development, which were the key critical portfolios that there was a lot of speculation around. Having said that, your question about the Minister of Small Businesses, I think that the policy of small business has been a forward-moving policy, but we hope to see a great more progress take place under the seventh administration. That means there needs to be a greater focus towards seeing small business as being not just the voice of the engine of the economy, but really for government to give it the strategic impetus that it requires if government is serious about addressing the issues of inequality in the country, the issues of unemployment, and the issues of growth of the economy. They need to have a far stronger strategy towards the small business development. And I hope the minister gives a great more importance to her portfolio than she did in the sixth administration, and that there are greater need for a more global strategy towards small businesses.
And I think more than ever, after this year's election, we saw, a lot of debate about, business and government and where the two interact, because a lot has been said about, this formation of GNU. Some of the reasons why it was formed was it to please the markets and business. In your opinion, business and government, where do they interact? Where do they meet? And how can people better understand the role that business plays, and also the one that government plays with each other in unison more, if you can say, if you can put it
Well,
like that.
Well, business and government cannot exist without each other. They have a symbiotic relationship. Government is dependent on business for growing the economy so that it can receive more revenue out of the taxes that are created and assist with the social development. Business, on the other hand, requires government to have better policies in place that make it easier for business to conduct itself. So there is a symbiotic relationship between the two. They cannot exist without each other. Having said that, the speculation that business was imposing itself on government in choosing the government of national unity, a lot of it has to do with theory, some of it with conspiracy theory, and a lot of it with conjecture. Yes, business does have a vested interest in government and making certain that they are the right people in government, and there would have obviously been positive and negative reactions to whichever government was being formed. So, in the sense that the cabinet that we've seen now announced, there's a great deal of positive reaction, but yet there is some negative reaction towards it. Had cabinet gone in a different direction, we might have seen greater negative speculation towards that cabinet. But all in all, I think at this moment, business is quite happy with the cabinet. In terms of the going forward, where you talk about the intersection between business and government, government obviously understands that in order for it to have a thriving economy, it needs to create better policies for government, for business to operate in. We would like to see less bureaucracy. We would like to see less red tape, and we'd like to see a more fair approach towards the policies that have been created. So that means government has to have greater dialogue with business in order to come up with policies that benefit the country and the economy.
And just last before I let you go, how important, how crucial is this seventh administration? Is it the make it or break it point of South Africa, where whatever way we find ourselves after the 5 years of this administration could ultimately be the fate of South Africa going forward?
I would like to think that the 29th of May was the point of make it or break it rather than what we've seen today, and that we've come past that point of break it. We've actually made it. So the fact that we've had a peaceful elections, the fact that we've had a peaceful transition from a majority government to a government of national unity, the fact that we've had a peaceful movement into parliament and cabinet have been appointed with great deal of negotiation. I think that in that sense for me is a positive way, and we are definitely going to make it. So I would say that we should give confidence. We should give government a chance. Yes, as much as we might want to hold government accountable, and we might want to say that those new ministers that are in their portfolios need to perform at a far higher level than they've performed in the past. The new ministers that are there need to give greater importance to the role that they are playing in those portfolios. But what we would like to make certain is that government works so that we move forward. I think we've dwelled too long on this elections. It's occupied the headlines from late last year, and it's occupied all the discussions and the narratives that we've seen, and we need to start moving forward.
I think that's where you're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Ibrahim Patel, for giving us your
Shukran.
time.
Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam. That was Ebrahim Patel, the founder of the Minara Chamber of Commerce in South Africa. He also served as its national president and went on to serve as the chairman of the KwaZulu-Natal Business Chamber Council. He's also currently the managing director at Siyaxoxa Technologies and a non-executive director on numerous company boards. And he sounds to be, very, very confident from a business point of view of this new cabinet and what it has to offer. I asked if this is a make it or break it, cabinet, the seventh administration. That's it. And he says, nope, we've actually made it for the mere fact that this multi-party, looking government, this GNU looking government is one that will be heading South Africa for the next 5 years, is something to celebrate and is something that shows a positive trajectory not only for business, but for South Africa as a whole. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be getting more reactions on this new seventh administration and the cabinet ministers appointed.